Hello, welcome back to this random table where I fix stuff. Today we have this GE radio. I think this is a GE66, or at least that's what's stamped on the chassis, or G66 or something like that. When I searched that model number, I came up with a console instead of a tabletop. So, but I think the tube lineup was the same. So I'm not sure whether that model number refers to both the tabletop and the console, or what the deal is. But anyway, I think the console was from 1938, so I'll assume this is also from 1938. As you can see, it's not in the best shape. The speaker is not attached on the inside, although it is kind of there. Grill cloth is pretty much gone. This side of the cabinet, the bottom is detached, so that'll have to get glued back on. You can see there's a chunk missing out of this thing. There's a nice big black spot on the top there, along with maybe a couple of cup rings. But let's go to the side of the cabinet and see if we can get it working. These knobs should just pull off, just like they should. Oh, there, just went that. It was already broken, so it's not a big deal. Off. Turn this on. I'll probably pause to take the bolts out of the bottom. So what we have here. Yeah, 4 screws. I'll probably pause to take those out. Hey, actually the feet are there. That's surprising. Usually, if a radio has feet, they're usually gone. This one has all of them. So kind of surprising. You can see here where the cabinet has come away. That'll have to get glued. And the speaker is pretty much non-existent. This does kind of move. It does feel like it's rubbing. I might, just for fun, see if I can maybe glue a couple of strips of paper in there just to see what happens, but I'm sure this is going to have to be replaced. The inside spider looks okay, so that's something, I guess. Yeah, so let me pause and take the screws out and we'll have another look at this. Okay, so I got this out of the cabinet here. You can see that there is one vacuum tube missing, and that's because that one was broke. So I had taken it out ahead of time to try and see if I could figure out what it was, so I knew what I needed. And it looks like it's 75. The tube lineup for the console version of this included a 75. And the grid structure that was in that tube looks like a 75, so I'm going to assume it's a 75. The rest of these tubes here in the back that I could see matched up with that tube lineup. So we got a tuning capacitor, looks like probably an RF or oscillator coil here, IF transformer, maybe secondary or something, I'm not quite sure what's in this one. Probably another IF transformer perhaps. This is our old filter capacitor. It's probably going to have to go. This radio is a mix of octal and pre-octal tubes. You can see the 75 is a pre-octal. But we got I think this is a 5Y3. Yeah, 5Y3. So that's an octal, and I think these two are also octal. This one for sure. I don't think they made metal tubes in pre-octal. So the speaker wires looks like they've had some work done to them, so I might have to either replace or see what's going on there. These wires don't look too hot. See, there's quite a bit of cracking there, so I'm gonna have to replace those. Not sure yet. Power cord has some work done to it, so that's probably going to be replaced. We are missing one of the pointers here. So if you see in the front here, like this one, if I adjust this knob, I can put the knob on, that is. You can see as I adjust it, the pointer moves to whatever band I select. That's also supposed to happen for this knob over here. You can see the cord is disconnected, and I can't seem to find the pointer that's supposed to be up here. So looking at this one, it looks like a pretty generic dial pointer, so if I have to replace it, hopefully it won't be too hard to replace. I'm going to do a little bit closer investigation first. So let's turn this thing up on its back and see what the underside looks like. I'm going to say here, maybe. Okay, so we've got, looks like some kind of transformer. It's interesting. Well, this time usually it stopped potting transformers like that, so I'm kind of surprised to see that. It's probably audio output or something. We got another big filter cap here. We got another 2 tape jobs on the power cord. We got a tape job here. So this, okay. So it looks like they just added this capacitor in. It's not even bolted on. It's not even tight. So they just added this capacitor in parallel probably with the original one. It's not usually a good idea, but whatever. Not sure what kind of tape this is. This is all, they use clear tape here. So if you can see that back here, this tape is almost looks reddish now, but it might have been clear tape at one point. See, this wire is, insulation is falling off. This may have been recapped at one point because these capacitors definitely look newer than 1938, at least to me, and this soldering job there doesn't look the best either. So these ones might be original here, these paper wax ones, but these hard plastic ones, I don't know if they have those red ones in 1938. And judging by the solder jobs, I certainly hope that's not factory. So a couple of things that have to be done here. For one thing, the speaker has to be addressed. It's not a huge, not much point in recapping all this if we don't have a way to listen to it. So I'm going to play around with the speaker for a little bit, see what I can do with that. If I can't get that, into some marginally serviceable state, I'll have to find another speaker to use here. And then probably at least for power up, I'll replace this one because I'm sure this is no good. If I can find a U on it. 475 volts. I'm sure that's not what the original one was. And it looks like an 8 microfarad. That's probably what the original one was. And then using the field coil as part of the filtering. So I guess what I'll do is look at the speaker and I'll also check the continuity on this. I'm always suspicious of these potted transformers, so I'll check the continuity on this, make sure this transformer is good. I'm assuming this is audio out, and then check out the speaker, and then maybe, do I replace at least this one, we can do a power up test. Okay, so let's zoom in here a little bit. As you can see, I've added 3 new capacitors here. This is replacing the one on top of the chassis was actually a replacement, and that was actually a I think it was a 12 or something like that. I put a 22 in because they don't have 12s anymore. So that's this one here replaced the one that was on top, and then these 2 here replaced this big fat one here that was down here at the bottom, and that's 2 10 microfarads. The original was 8, but I put 2 10s in. Let's clean up some of this mess that's in here. I should have done that before I started the video, but that's fine. Soldered grips. Some wire, crumbling wire pieces. This lead here I've just tacked in for now. I'm going to redo the solder and I'll replace this capacitor because this is just a complete mess. We'll replace this capacitor, just kind of globbed everything together there. This radio, the chassis is not quite the B-. Normally the B- is tied right to the chassis, but in this case it's not. It actually goes to the chassis through, I believe, this resistor right here. This resistor goes up to this point and then over to the chassis. But this point right here is the actual B-, so you can see it goes back into the transformer. So these capacitors are not, the negatives of these are not tied to the chassis. So they're tied to this wire, which goes over to this point, which is connected to this point, which is the B-. The original capacitor is all joined up right here. And the negatives all joined up right here. I just ran a wire over to these two here. And then this one is joined on another wire, which also goes to the same point there on that tube. What I forgot to mention is when I was cleaning out the cabinet, I found a baseball game ticket. You can see here, it's 2 pieces. So September 22, 1992. You can see there. This is the stub. So it's kind of interesting. Not quite sure what that was doing in there, but anyway, for now I've just put this ugly plug on the end of the cord. It should do the trick for now. I just cut off this whole mess and replaced it with this plug, so should work for today. Probably won't stay that way, but for now at least we can do that. Turn this up. Put my rectifier tube back in. I have to find the 75 tube as well. The speaker, I just kind of added some crutches to it for now. We'll see if this will make any sound. I don't have another speaker to pop in right now, so we'll just try this one and see what happens for the time being. But this speaker is definitely going to have to get replaced. I don't know if they make a reconing kit for this. I doubt that they would. If they do, that could be one option, but I seriously doubt that they would have that. The speaker just plugs in, by the way, this little plug here. It goes in one way, so I need to figure out which way it goes in. It must be that way. Okay, so the speaker's plugged in, so I'm not sure if we're actually going to get anything out of the speaker. I have to be careful of the speaker connection wires here. There's a little bit of bare wire showing, so I just have to be careful of that. I'll probably end up replacing them, I guess. It's not much sense trying to patch all those pieces. New 75 tube. I'll pop that in. Okay, and we'll plug this in and see what happens. And I just realized that I can't plug this in because my extension cord is not there. So I have to get an extension cord that will accept the 3-prong plug. Okay, so we are plugged in now. I also deduced that this button is the off button. So when this is pushed in, the radio is off. And then pushing any one of these should turn it on. This one on the end engages manual tuning, so let's try that. And none of our lights came on, but I see the tubes glowing. At least one of them. Rectifier is starting to glow, I think. So both these light bulbs must be toast, I guess. Oh, that one almost came back. Hey, we got one. Assuming this is the volume. I don't hear anything. A little bit of pop from the speaker when I change this control. This would be the tone. So this is the band. Broadcast is what we want. It's all the way up. The cone is vibrating, so a little bit of hum there. This switch is dirty. I think I almost heard something.
prediction as to when the market is going to change.
I'm not sure if you can hear that or not.
Proactive rather than reactive. It is being proactive in
Of course, it sounds like complete crap, but
you have to have the proper education in
it's
there.
of course the speaker's fault.
Think about what you're. But if you watch it on BBN. You withdraw consent.
That's a bit loud.
Employer maximum would be pre-tax. If you're contributing to a Roth 401k, your money would be after tax, but what the employer's contributed is pre-tax. So you could move all the money into your own IRA and your
Turn the volume down a little bit. So that's all the way up at the end here, almost actually is off the scale. So I'm not sure if that's an actual station though, or whether the bandwidth just like opens up to anything at that point. I'm not entirely sure, but anyway, we did get a couple stations, so the radio part does seem to be working. Speaker is definitely an issue. I think I am going to go ahead and recap this though, because we know that the radio part seems to be working. I'm going to play around with this a little bit more. I don't expect to get anything on. Let's see, let me stick one of these knobs back on here. That would be police. I don't think there's anything on there. Try this one. I'll put you back over the speaker so you can hear it. Turn the volume all the way up. This is not dark, so this probably isn't gonna. Yeah, I don't think we're getting anything. Let's try that other band. Okay, so turn this off. I think the next step is recapping, and then I'll have to see if I can find a replacement speaker. Okay, so I replaced all but two capacitors underneath. One of them is the AVC cap, and that's all the way buried up, like in this corner, and I don't want to risk damaging the oscillator coil to get to it. I'm not going to be too worried about it because there shouldn't be much voltage there anyway, so if it is a little bit leaky, I don't think it'll affect too much. And there was another one that was just like an RF filter off the antenna coil, so not really going to worry about that either. There's also this one up here, a little Bumblebee or Black Beauty or whatever, on this little terminal strip here, and I'm not sure why. The schematic doesn't show the capacitor. It just shows this wire going directly down into the volume control, but for some reason they brought that volume control wire up and then sent it through a cap and then have this side tied with like a 1 megohm or something resistor to the ground. I'm not sure why that was done, or if that's original or not, I don't know. Either way, I checked the voltage here. There's like a 0.2 drop across the cap, so I'm not sure if it's leaky or not, but even if it is, considering the schematic doesn't show it there, I don't think it's a big deal. But I might still change anyway just to see what happens. Anyway, so this is playing now. I'm not going to copyright strike. Dug up a little speaker. So I got that little speaker hooked up there. I'm going to have to search around and see if I can find a replacement speaker. What I'd like to get is one that's thin enough that I can just take this cone out and then set the new speaker like inside here, and then have it bolt to maybe, you know, 2 or preferably 4 of these bolts, and just use this original frame and hide the new speaker inside it. But I don't know if we're going to be able to find something that will work for that. Anyway, we can do a little dial sweep here. Or also the rectifier too. What is this? 5x3. This broke. I didn't realize that when I lifted the chassis up, I thought I was resting on the power transformer. It was actually resting on this tube. I'm not sure if you can tell, but it's not quite straight in the base anymore, so that went to air. But I could pull the spare one out of another radio I had, so it's all working now. So let's turn this up. See, that speaker too has a little bit of a rattle in it, so it's like the spare speaker I dug up is also not so hot.
It's all praise the Lord, because you know what? We're satisfied.
Judy right here, and we've got everyone getting entered into it. It's a 30-minute scenic flight around the Superstition Mountains.
So it doesn't have much of an antenna on it. All it has is this little stick here. Let's see if I... The closer it gets a little bit louder. This radio has a shielded oscillator coil. Let's get off that. This radio has a shielded oscillator coil, so the only signal getting into the radio is just through that little strand of wire there. So I'm not expecting like a huge amount of performance out of that. I don't know why, but for some reason in the mid to late 30s, there was a big move to shield the oscillator coils. Almost most of the radios that I work on from that era did that. So you have to have some type of antenna, otherwise the radio gets absolutely no signal at all. The earlier radios, like in the 20s and 30s, didn't have a shield over it. I think this is it right here, actually. This is the oscillator coil with the antenna coil. This can right here is the antenna coil. Now, if you look at like a RCA R7 or something from the early 30s, there's no shield over the antenna coil. So the antenna coil actually acts like an antenna. But then they put a shield over it in the mid to late 30s, so now you have to have something attached to the antenna terminal, otherwise you get basically nothing. And then after that phase, then they switched to loop antennas. So basically, it's like they took the antenna coil and then blew it up into a big loop, and then had it in the back of the radio. But from this era, you have to have some type of antenna if you want to get anything at all. It's not a whole lot. Although the camera is picking this up, the speaker is kind of far away. Let's bring it a little bit closer. Let's see if we can get anything on. Let's see what's that. This police probably nothing on that one, just goes straight to shortwave. So we can pick anything up here. I kind of doubt it, but yeah, nothing. Not surprised. I didn't play around with these push buttons. I did set this one, because it holds if I'm on the right band. So there is a little bit of difference here. Let's tune that same station in. I think that should be it. Everything here, there's a bit of a tone difference there between the push button and the manual tuning. And that could be for a number of reasons. It could be that the alignment is a little bit off. That would be my best guess, that the alignment of the manual mode, so the trimmer capacitors across the tuning and the antenna, or the oscillator and the antenna tuning capacitor, could be a little bit out of line, so you're not getting quite the same bandwidth that you are when you tune these in, because these have their own separate little oscillator. You see this one up in the top. I'm not sure if you can see the label there. So if you look at the label behind there, see it says 1200 to 1500 for this first button, and then the top adjustment right here is the oscillator frequency, and then down on the bottom there's another hole, that's for the antenna tuning. So you can fine tune both the oscillator and the antenna for each of these, and it could be that I was able to get a finer, more inline tuning with those two than is currently on the trimmers for the manual tuning. So probably is an alignment. I'm not going to do that right now, but get our some different tones here. I want to get a copyright strike, so I want to keep that up too long. I think that the last person that worked on this, or one of the people that worked on this, was a TV repair shop, because of some of the capacitors that come out of here. And see, this one is 0.1 at 1000 volts, which is way overkill for something like this. I think the transformer here only puts out like 250 volts or something, so 1000 volts is way overdoing it. These are definitely not, not 30s era capacitors. These are like 60s or 70s era, and most of them seem to be 0.1s. When I first started working on this, I was just replacing what these values were here, but when I got to the audio detector audio circuit, things weren't quite adding up as far as what was connected where, so that's when I went to check the schematic, and that's when I realized that this capacitor, which someone had put in a 0.1 at 1000 volts, was actually supposed to be a 0.003, so I think the TV guy was just using whatever he had. As you can see, this one, this is a, well, if it'll focus, this is a vibrator condenser, which is a 0.02 at 2000 volts DC. I did put a or not a 0.02, a 0.2. Actually, no, that's the point. I'm assuming that's a 0.2, 02. Focus, 02 should be 0.2. I did put a 0.2 in there. It seems to work fine. I didn't check the schematic, see if that's correct, because I'd already done that by the time I got to the audio circuit and realized that someone was not doing things correctly. But since it works fine, I think I'm going to leave it as is. Yeah, this is definitely way overdoing it. A 2000 volt vibrator condenser. And vibrator condenser, that probably means it's designed for a TV horizontal and vertical oscillator. Both of those have pretty high voltage spikes in them, so that's why that's a 2000 volt. Anyway, I think that's going to be about it for this video. I have to find a replacement speaker, and I have to order some grill cloth for the cabinet. Right now I'm gluing the cabinet. It's over here on the floor. I got that old speaker on it to hold it down. So hopefully that should set and fix the crack at the bottom where the side was coming off. And it's going to be about it for now. We'll have to make another part when I get some parts in. I did look at and see if I could find a spare little pointer here that's missing here. No, so I'm just going to have to get like some real thin sheet metal, see if I can make something for there. doesn't have to be real fancy, it just has to slide along the track. I'll be able to look down there or not. Kind of, but it's a little dark. Yeah, you can't really see. Anyway, down all the way down in the bottom there is a little rail that it just has two little tabs that are bent out the back and sit on that rail, so it slides back and forth as you tune the. You see this one just slides back and forth along that rail. So I'll have to get some metal and see if I can cut something out to work for that, or just paint the little tab black so it matches. So I have to get that. I have to get a speaker. I have to get a grill cloth, and probably order a new tube there so I can put that rectifier tube back in my other radio, and maybe get some light bulbs since these are completely toast now. But other than that, I think that'll be about it for now. Oh, I've got ads. Anyway, I hope you enjoyed this video, and thank you for watching.